So the brand new DLC expansion for Assassin's Creed Origins dropped recently. I know I never did a full video on the previous expansion, the hidden ones, but there really wasn't enough changes or additions from the main game for me to properly make a great piece of content breaking it down. If you want my full thoughts, then go ahead and listen to Kill Connor Club podcast episode 64 with Longed Fox, where we briefly go over that. The Curse of the Pharaohs, however, that's a different story. This DLC is one of the greatest expansions I've ever played. I'm going to do my best to break this down, give my thoughts, and try to objectively critique this expansion as best I can, for your information and also, hopefully, for your enjoyment. If you want to help support me, don't forget to drop a like and a sub, and perhaps consider funding my business over at patreon.com/as-always. Without further ado, however, let's begin. Beginning with the story without diving too deeply into spoilers, since I don't feel I need to totally spoil the expansion in order to review this section, the expansion is set in 40 BCE, which is around 2 years before the events of the previous expansion, the Hidden Ones, and 4 years after the events of the main game. It follows Bayek traveling to this new area of Thebes to investigate some strange reports of dead pharaohs walking the land. Bayek recognizing some of the reports as dealings he'd had previously with the Apple, he sets off to see if he can't save this land from chaos. The story to me was incredibly compelling. It has its ups and downs throughout, similarly to Assassin's Creed Origins' main game. However, there was never a moment when I felt bored. I always felt incredibly interested in the characters and Bayek's journey. That being said, it's not a perfect story, it doesn't feel game-changing or anything super innovative, but I say that more to quell your expectations than anything else. From the outset, there was a clear goal as to what Bayek needed to do, and you as the player felt intrigued and invested in figuring out for yourself what was going on in this strange new region. The quest structure can at times feel like a huge aid to this, and sometimes a huge pacing problem. I say this because at the beginning, it gives you a few different tasks in order to uncover more about this piece of Eden and the strange happenings. It feels overwhelming, but in a good way. Bayek would be confused and lost in this new story, not understanding where to go or what to do, and it feels incredibly immersive and mysterious, giving you all the leads, which you can do in whichever order you see fit. However, towards the end, the quest splits off into 2 different quest lines. One of these quests is the ending of the DLC, and another is just leading up to another boss fight with one of the various pharaohs throughout the game. Now, to split these means that some people may go for the ending quest first without realizing it's the ending. Then you're left to do this other quest, and it just feels messy. This is really my only issue with the structure. They shouldn't have split it at the end. Other than that, it does a great job of making you feel there's lots of leads which you have to figure out in your own order. Overall, this story was super compelling and offered far more than I could have even thought it would when it was first advertised. Blew my expectations out of the water and delivered something that I'll remember very, very fondly. The world of Thebes is only a small part of what the expansion offers. There are also 4 different mini open worlds within the afterlives of each pharaoh. These all gave so much for you to do. From their gorgeous scenery to enemy archetypes, it really felt that these worlds had a lot of extra effort put into them rather than just copy and pasting things we've seen before. These afterlives contain some very integral stories for Bayek and him letting go of Bayek of Siwa and truly becoming Bayek the Hidden One, which is very meaningful and well handled. Back to the world of Thebes, this is the larger area from the expansion, which I'd say is likely around 3 times larger than that of the Hidden Ones map, and it's genuinely very sizable with plenty of things to do. tons of incredibly interesting quests, all with cutscenes and interesting stories to experience, and unique gameplay experiences, which to me is of far higher quality than the main game. There's a few new things to do in the world, with there being the Shadows of the Pharaohs, which are bosses that appear around the world in different areas and are shadows of the main pharaohs that you are facing within the main story. These shadows aren't as powerful, but certainly offer a challenge as well as giving you some nice rewards for beating them. Adding to this, there are Shadows of Anubis too, which are essentially the Pharaohs of this DLC, again offering some nice challenge and some sweet rewards. The world, of course, also contains tons of objectives and things to do which were present in the main game and the hidden ones. To me, the characters are really where Curse of the Pharaohs shines. In the main game, characters tend to show up for quests and then they vanish forever, never to be mentioned again. In this DLC, however, you get plenty of time with these characters that actually show up again to help Bayek, or to take an interest in his story and what he's doing. This makes you feel way more involved with the world and its people, instead of the story simply following things Bayek is doing and only having people show up to give you objectives which further Bayek's story like the main game. The characters in Curse of the Pharaohs have their own stories and their own personalities and purpose, which isn't just giving you things to do. They're still a long way from the supporting characters of Assassin's Creed 2 or Black Flag, but this is certainly a step in the right direction, and I loved it. The base gameplay is of course the same, and so I won't go over that again since I already did in my review of Origins, but there are some new additions to how the gameplay works. There are new items to craft which increase stats, however these aren't done with carbon crystals, they're done with shards of a star, which can be collected from pharaohs, shadows, afterlives, and scorpions. Oh yeah, there's massive fucking scorpions. There's some new additions to the skill tree, which allows for some cool new skills to make your Bayek even fucking better. Finally, there's some cool new stellars in each of the afterlives, which give you a riddle when you collect all of them to get some sick loot. It's kind of like the papyrus riddles, but just slightly different, which is cool, and they took the time to give us something different rather than the exact same shit again. I like all of these minimal new additions because it just gives you that sense of we're playing something new and something different rather than this is just tacked on to the main game. Now this segment will contain spoilers. If you don't want spoilers, then jump to the timestamp provided on screen. Seriously, I'll wait. Okay, so, once you're done with the story, for one, Sutek talks to himself, which is a bit odd, but that's kind of not relevant. If you head to the Wasset Desert and go to this Cobra lair, you'll find his corpse. Clearly the apple has been stolen. Not only does this clearly show that the apple is out there somewhere, it leads me to believe that it's been stolen by the Order, since they're known as the Snake, and Sutek died in a Cobra lair. It's very symbolic to me, and it's setting up Bayek's story isn't over, and it's certainly going to come back to haunt him. Not to mention the constant hints to sequels, but that's for a future video detailing why I think we're getting a sequel, and that video's maybe coming in a few days. I do just like, however, the way it feels as if they're setting up we're getting a sequel to Bayek. It's something that I've been talking about for months and months, and I really do hope this comes to fruition, and we see a sequel to Bayek leading up on these things hinted at in not just Curse of the Pharaohs, but the main game and the hidden ones as well. This expansion offers so much, from a rich, interesting story to fun side activities, compelling side stories, intuitive and well-made boss battles, beautiful, expansive open worlds, and mysterious, cryptic Easter eggs. There's something for everyone, and it'll keep you busy for hours upon hours. This expansion took me around 8 hours for the main story, excluding side activities, and I've put around 15 hours in now, and I'm not even close to finishing all the additional content that it has to offer, so it's well worth your money. This is a far less formal review, and so I don't really want to give it a number rating like I normally would. This is an expansion, and so I find it hard to rate given a lot of it comes down to the base game's features. But overall, this is an expansion you will not want to miss, not just as an Assassin's Creed fan, but as a gaming fan in general. Thanks again for clicking on this video. Like I said before, a like and a subscription goes a long way. If you feel a bit more generous, $1 over at Patreon could really certainly help out production of videos and more shows in the future, not to mention the extra content you get over there. And if you're looking for something fun, don't forget to check out the newest episode of the Kill Connor Club podcast. Here's a clip. Oh, you know what? I have a story. I have a sleep paralysis story to tell you about.
No shit.
That happened the other night.
Shit.
I just remembered it. I told it on Horsey and Fox. It was fucking, like, it was weird. It was weird.
But you were ready for it, because you know sleep paralysis, like, you were ready for this shit.
Oh, like, I was, but, like, in the moment...
You were fucking...
In the moment, I didn't think. Like, I couldn't think, oh, that's what this is.
Really?
Yeah, it
that's
was
what happened to me when I did it. I was, like, thinking about it. I was like, oh, this is what this is.
So, like, a couple times before, it's happened before where I've just, like, woken up and I can't move, and it's like, this is fucking annoying, and then I'm like, oh, it's just, you know, sleep paralysis or whatever. But this one
Did you see
time...
ghosts? Did you see a fucking ghost?
Anyways, that's all, lads. Catch you next time.